The courtroom was silent, the air thick with tension as Officer Lucas Carter took the stand. His uniform was immaculate, his expression one of unwavering confidence. This was routine for him, testifying in a way that would seal a conviction. But today was different. What he didn't know was that the woman he was about to frame wasn't just another unfortunate victim of his corruption. She was Special Agent Olivia Mercer, a high-ranking officer in the FBI. And today, he was about to make the biggest mistake of his career. Olivia sat calmly at the defense table, her sharp green eyes scanning the room. She had been falsely accused of resisting arrest and assaulting an officer, charges that could destroy any ordinary citizen's life. But she was far from ordinary. Rather than revealing her true identity from the start, she let Carter spin his web of deceit, knowing that the truth would unravel him in the most spectacular fashion. Carter cleared his throat, shifting slightly in his chair. On the night in question, he began, voice steady. The defendant was acting erratically. She refused to comply with my orders and attempted to flee. When I tried to restrain her, she struck me in the chest. He paused for dramatic effect. I had no choice but to use force to subdue her. The prosecutor nodded approvingly while the judge remained neutral, his gaze thoughtful. The tension in the room was nearly suffocating, yet Olivia's attorney, Nathan Cole, remained composed. He exhaled slowly, folding his hands in front of him as though savoring the moment before the inevitable unraveling of deception. His years of experience in high-profile cases had taught him patience, waiting for the right moment to expose the truth. He glanced at Olivia, who remained poised, her piercing green eyes locked on Carter. She was not nervous. She was a predator, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Cole could see the flicker of amusement in her gaze. She knew exactly how this was going to unfold. Across the room, the jury leaned forward slightly in their seats, anticipation evident on their faces. They had seen countless cases before, but something about this one felt different. The air was charged with expectation, as if they could sense the proceedings were about to take a sharp turn. The court clerk shifted in his chair, glancing toward the screen that had yet to display the crucial footage. Carter, oblivious to the trap tightening around him, adjusted his collar, discomfort beginning to take root in his mind. He had walked into this courtroom with unshakable confidence, believing he had complete control over the narrative. He had no idea just how wrong he was. Cole finally spoke, his voice measured but carrying the weight of a man who knew he held all the cards. Your Honor, the defense would like to present irrefutable evidence that will change the course of this trial. Holloway glanced at his client briefly before locking eyes with Carter. There was no hostility in his gaze, only the quiet confidence of a man who had all the pieces he needed. He let the silence stretch just long enough to unsettle the witness before speaking. Officer Carter, Cole finally said, his voice steady, can you confirm the exact location where this alleged attack took place? Carter replied confidently, outside the downtown cafe on Maple Street, around 9:30 p.m. Interesting, Cole murmured. He gestured toward the court clerk, who turned on a monitor. Because we have surveillance footage from that location at that exact time. The screen flickered to life, showing crystal-clear footage of the incident. The entire courtroom leaned forward. The video depicted Olivia walking calmly out of the cafe when Carter aggressively approached her, shoving her against a car and forcefully restraining her. There was no sign of erratic behavior, no resistance, no assault. Murmurs filled the courtroom. The judge frowned. Carter stiffened, his once confident demeanor cracking. Olivia finally spoke, her voice smooth and authoritative. Your Honor, before we proceed any further, I'd like to formally introduce myself. She reached into her blazer pocket and pulled out her badge, placing it on the table for everyone to see. I am Special Agent Olivia Mercer, Assistant Director of the FBI, and I've been investigating Officer Carter and his department for months. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. The prosecutor turned pale. Carter opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Olivia leaned forward, her gaze locked onto Carter's. Not only have you lied under oath, officer, but you've also engaged in police misconduct. Perjury is a federal offense, and I have more than enough evidence to ensure you're held accountable. The judge turned toward the prosecution. I believe we need to reconsider this case immediately. The charges against Olivia were swiftly dismissed. The tables had turned in a matter of moments. As Carter was escorted out of the courtroom, handcuffed and humiliated, he finally realized the gravity of his mistake. He had tried to frame the wrong woman, one with the power to dismantle his entire career. Outside the courthouse, Olivia was met by Director Jonathan Pierce, a stern man with graying hair. That was impressive, he admitted. But this is just the beginning. Olivia nodded, her expression serious. Carter was just the tip of the iceberg. We've uncovered a network of corruption within his department, planted evidence, wrongful arrests, bribery. We need to dig deeper. Pierce sighed. You'll have full clearance and the resources you need. But be careful. These people know they're being watched now. Olivia smirked. Let them come. I'm ready. 2 weeks later, she sat in her office, a wall covered with photographs, documents, and red string connecting names and places. The corruption ran deep, far deeper than she had initially suspected. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Agent David Lawson entered, a thick file in his hands. We have a lead. An informant is willing to talk, but someone's already made an attempt on his life. Olivia's jaw tightened. Then we need to move fast. She and Lawson met the informant in a safe house, a dimly lit apartment on the outskirts of the city. The man, visibly shaken, revealed evidence that pointed to an even bigger conspiracy. High-ranking officials were involved, covering up their illicit dealings with drug cartels. This goes beyond just Carter, the informant whispered. There's an entire network. If you dig too deep, they'll come for you. Olivia leaned in. Let them try. Over the next few months, Olivia's team meticulously built a case against the corrupt network. Secret recordings, insider testimonies, and financial transactions laid bare the corruption embedded within law enforcement. The investigation reached city officials, a district attorney, and even a state senator. One evening, after gathering substantial evidence, Olivia received an anonymous call. A distorted voice warned, "Drop the case, Agent Mercer, or you won't live to see it through." She hung up, unshaken. If anything, the threat only confirmed she was on the right path. Despite mounting pressure, she pushed forward. High-profile arrests were made, and a major trial loomed on the horizon. The entire city watched as powerful men who once thought themselves untouchable now stood trial. Late one evening, a package arrived at Olivia's office with no return address. Inside was a single file, a list of names, including politicians, law enforcement leaders, and business moguls. A note was attached. You think you won, but the real fight is just beginning. Olivia leaned back, taking a deep breath. The war on corruption had claimed victories, but the real battle was far from over. Justice was a fight worth dying for, and Olivia Mercer was prepared for whatever came next.